Chapter 39, Touche. On the way to school, I wonder about taking the long way, like through Mexico. When I arrive, the first thing I see is Albert, who has a black eye. Albert, Keisha says, when are you going to teach those boys a lesson? It's nothing, he says, all serious, and then gets happy. Look, he holds up a big sign for me. Allie is your ally. Give her your vote. You made me a poster for the election? I ask, smiling. I know I'm going to lose, but this makes it okay. Thank you, Albert. He looks proud. But, why does it say my name twice? Your name is a homonym. I should know better than to question Albert. You know, a word with the same spelling but different sounds and meanings. A-L-L-Y spells your name, but it also spells ally along with the I sound at the end. An ally is someone who is on your side, someone who sticks by you, like allies in war. Shay comes by with Jessica. She looks at the poster, then at all three of us. Good luck, six-legged freak. I guess Allie will get 3 votes anyway. After they leave, I look at the 3 of us and think about how there were 3 primary colors, yellow, blue, and red, and those 3 colors create every other color. Keisha goes to talk to Suki while I take a deep breath and turn to Albert. I know I'm going to lose, and Shay will never let me forget it. I look down at the desk and see Albert's sign. But at least I'll have a poster. I smile at him. Can I bring it home? Yes, but you can't give up, Albert says. Okay, well maybe you're right, Albert, but you shouldn't give up either. I'm not nominated for class president. I point at his black eye. But you got beat up again, didn't you? He shifts his weight and looks away. It's hardly the same, he says, and I feel sad he doesn't see it, that it isn't too different. Then Keisha returns. Are you ready for today? No, I shake my head. Ready for public humiliation? How do I get into these things? She leans over and whispers, You'll do a good job. Albert and I are voting for you no matter what you say in your speech. I half smile. What if I say you have to lick the lunch tables clean? Well, I just won't do it. That will be easy, Keisha says, pushing my shoulder. Albert adds, It depends on what we have for lunch that day. We laugh. I'm happy that he doesn't seem mad about me questioning him. Mr. Daniels is wearing a George Washington tie. He gets up and calls Shay to present first. I notice she's dressed in red, white, and blue. I look down. I didn't even think about wearing something special. Shay talks about how great she is and all that she'll do. Kids applaud over her promises. Some of the things she says she'll do, I can't imagine how she would pull off, like extra recesses and longer snack times. When she promises new, bigger lockers for the hallway, I know she can't do that. With every sentence, kids are happier, and I feel smaller and smaller. I get up there holding my paper. The sound that comes from my mouth doesn't sound like a real word. I try again and get the same sound. Then 4 more times. The quiet laughs rise all around me, but Mr. Daniels holds his palm towards the class without taking his eyes off me, and the noise stops. I feel hot. Then Etch-a-Sketch brain hits me and I go blank, staring at a page that I wrote, that I can't even read. Shay looks smug and it makes it even harder. Mr. Daniels bends over, resting his hands on his knees. He whispers, Look, you can do this, and you can hit it out of the park, too. I shake my head a little. I believe in you, Allie. Now forget what you wrote, put the paper down and take a deep breath. Close your eyes if it makes you nervous to see everyone, and just be honest. Be you. He slides the paper out of my hands and I stand there, silent for too long. I do close my eyes, wishing it would block the view of me as well. Mr. Daniels' voice is gentle, almost a whisper. I want to be president of the class because... I think it will be fun, and I think I would like it, I say, eyes still closed. Good, he says. Keep going. I promise to be honest. I promise to work hard. I promise to listen to everyone who has ideas, not just my friends, because I'd be in charge of the whole class. Well, not in charge exactly, but I want everyone to have a chance to give their ideas. I'll go to meetings, and I would try to get extra things like recess, but I can't promise I can do something like that. I open my eyes and look at Mr. Daniels. Can I do that? Actually, no. You don't want me to get fired, do you? I shake my head, feeling dazed. Do you have anything else to say? I don't think so. Okay, then. He motions towards my seat, and I sit down, stunned it's over. Now for the vote, he says. He begins to pass out little pieces of paper. Wait, says Shay. All the other teachers have Just had everyone raise their hands. Well, I think it should be more like a real election, a secret ballot. Everyone will write the name of their choices for class president on the paper and fold it up. I will walk around to collect. It's not fair. Well, he shrugs, if it's good enough for the U.S. government, it's good enough for us. I smooth out the tiny piece of paper and try hard to be neat. There's a lump in my throat as I write down my own name, and I don't even know why. Maybe because I'm not writing it down on the sign-in sheet for detention or signing an apology for something. I fold it 1, 2, 3 times and put it back in the basket when Mr. Daniels comes by. He says he'll let us know later, but everyone begs him to count now, so he does. He opens the first one. Shay. He opens another. Shay. He opens a third. Shay. But when he opens the next 4, they're for me, and I'm surprised. A couple more for Shay, then 4 more for me. 4 more? I can't imagine who'd vote for me. I thought everyone loved Shay, but as I look around the room, some of the kids are glancing at me, and some actually look happy. Oliver and Suki and a bunch of other kids. Towards the end of the counting, when it looks like I've actually won, Shay crosses her arms and falls back against her chair. In the end, Mr. Daniels shakes hands with Shay and tells her she ran a good campaign. Then he turns to me and says, "Congratulations, Madam President Nickerson." And then he salutes me and laughs. The class claps. Keisha stands up, dancing, while Albert gives me a single nod. "Mr. Daniels," Max raises his hand. "I think this calls for a party." "Why, Max? Because it's Wednesday?" "Any day is a good day for a party, Mr. D," he says, and then Shay looks annoyed with him. But her real daggers are saved for me. At least she's quiet for once. And that's all perfectly fine with me. Chapter 40. Tears of a Different Kind. Keisha and Albert call me Madam President every chance they get. At the end of the day, we head out to the front of the school, and I am just so happy. Like I could fly happy. A loud, sharp voice interrupts my happiness. "What do you mean you lost? You lost?" Shay's standing with her mother. "After all the time we spent writing that speech," she says, "did you look at the audience? Did you speak up and smile?" I did all of that. The other girl just got more votes." Shay sounds like someone completely different. The Shay I know, always so quick to pick a fight, now has a voice of a kindergartner. "Sorry, Mama." She rushes a tear from her cheek. "Man," Keisha says, "that woman is fierce." "Geez, I can't believe it, but I feel sorry for Shay," I said. No way, Keisha says. "Don't be feeling sorry for her. It's not an excuse to go around doing terrible things to other people." "Yeah, I guess you're right." "Have you learned nothing?" she says. "Of course I'm right." We laugh and she gets on her bus. All of a sudden, I'm in a rush to get to A.C. Peterson's. Running through the glass doors of Peterson's, I forget that I'm going to be cool about telling my mom I'm the class president. I forget to tell her like it's any other thing. Instead, I jump up and down and say it loud enough that some of the regulars congratulate me before she does. Her face says she's trying to figure out if she heard me right. "Yes," I say, nodding furiously. "Mom, they voted me class president. The kids in my class, not the teacher. The kids did." She holds her arms out and I run into them. "I'm so proud of you," she said in a shaky voice. I know why she's crying. I can't believe it either. Chapter 41. Not So Secret Letter. In that foggy time between sleeping and being awake, before I even open my eyes, I already remember that I am the class president. I ask myself if it was a dream, knowing that it wasn't. Knowing by the way it feels like my insides are rising into the air even before I sit up. It's like when you wake up on Christmas morning and remember what day it is. I lie there thinking that I'm happy Mr. Daniels counted the votes in front of everyone. I don't think I would have believed him if he'd just said I'd won later. When I get to school, everyone acts the same, but I feel different. I put my stuff away and head to my desk where I find an envelope with my name on the front. Weird. I sit down and slide it off the desk. Glancing around, I pull a piece of paper from the envelope. I expect it will be a note from Mr. Daniels congratulating me, but it's not. It's a full page of cursive writing. I recognize some of the words like love, but I don't know what most of it says. The name on the bottom is Max. I look over at him and he nods once. I look away, feeling like my face must be glowing like Rudolph's nose. I fold up the letter and slide it into my pocket, wishing I could read it. I think that when I get home and can study it, I may be able to figure it out. But I can't stare at it now. I look over at Keisha, who's putting her things away in the closet. "Hey," she says, sitting down. "Hey." My mouth opens to tell her about the note, but she's not the best person at being quiet about things, and I'm afraid everyone else will find out about it. So I take a deep breath and decide it will have to wait. I don't have a choice. I'm both happy and mad at myself. Happy about the note, and mad I can't read it. Max is cute, and I like the red and white football jerseys that he wears all the time. And now I think that he likes me, and I think I might like him too. So, how does it feel to be president? Keisha says. Oh, yeah. Man, this may be the best week of my entire life. Same old stuff, I say. Huh? Same old stuff? Already gone to your head? Don't worry. I'll still talk to you and everything. Like you could ignore me, we both laugh. Okay, my fantasticos, Mr. Daniels begins. He reminds us to put our homework in the basket and gets class helpers working on lunch counts and stuff. And I sit up straighter, feeling like I finally have a place in this class. After Mr. Daniels finishes with the boring morning stuff, he says, one more thing. Our new class president, Allie Nickerson, has her first student government meeting today. So if you have any suggestions for her, please let her know. If you have any ideas for changes, she's the one in charge. I know that I shouldn't smile, but my mouth keeps from smiling. It's like trying to keep Travis from loving cars. The first suggestion I get is from Oliver. I'm trying to do my work, and he stands in front of my desk. I have a suggestion. Okay, what is it? I think we should be able to bring candy for snacks, like piles of it, like dump trucks backing up into the school with a warning beeper going. And then it would dump like a huge pile of candy in front of the school, and kids could use shovels to collect it. Because the rule they made last year about healthy snacks is dumb and took away the only thing about school I liked. And Oliver? Mr. Daniels interrupts. He looks up. You have a question? I'm giving my advice to the president. I have an idea. He half smiles. Okay then, we'll finish up and get back to your seat. Oliver looks back at me. Okay, can you do that? I'll try. He looks disappointed. Suki interrupts. I disagree. The healthier snack roll was good. It's bad for your body to fill it with candy. He looks over at her. Stop acting like you're a grown-up. Jeez. Other kids give me suggestions too. Just before lunch, I hear Shay complaining that if she'd been elected, she'd started a horseback riding club at school. For a second, I feel bad, and then I realize she couldn't possibly do that. Horses? Where would we get horses? I think about starting a Fly to the Moon Every Thursday club, and a mind movie in my head starts to play of a silver rocket with blue stripes flying to the moon with Keisha, Albert, and me strapped in. Albert calmly explains the energy required to lift the rocket. Keisha is screaming. She's so happy, and I'm laughing because I'm happy. They're happy. I'm pulled out of my movie by Shay, who's standing in front of me. Everyone agrees. You should crawl into a hole and never come out. Since I won the election, I guess not everyone feels that way, Shay. And I'm surprised that instead of saying something back to me, she stomps off. At the end of the day, we're getting ready to board the buses. Shay tromps up to me with her shadow Jessica right behind her. So, did you get the letter? Why is she asking me about it? A little voice in my head warns me. What letter? Shay glances behind her and turns back. You know, the letter. What are you talking about? I ask. She's impatient. The letter, she drops her voice. From Max saying you should meet him for lunch. You never showed. He's really disappointed. Oh, he is? She glances behind herself again. So do you like him? Why did he want to see me at lunch? Allie, you can't just ignore something like that. It's rude. I see Max coming, but don't say anything. She continues. He really likes you, so you should answer Max's letter and say the thing in it that he says to. Okay, will you tomorrow? What letter? He asks. Max, oh hi, she says, stumbling over her words. What letter? You said my name. I never thought I'd see Shay unable to talk. Actually, the love letter Shay says you wrote to me. I hand it to him. Thanks very much, but I'm busy. Wait, I didn't actually, he says to me, trying to be nice. Then he looks at the letter and Shay and Jessica, and he doesn't look so nice. Jessica turns pale, but not as pale as Shay does. Whatever was going to happen at the lunch table is something I'm lucky to have missed. It's the first time I've ever been grateful not to be able to read. Chapter 42. The Gifts of No Excuses, Scotch Tape, and Antibiotics. Mr. Daniels calls me up to his desk. Here, I have something for you. I'm excited until I see it's a book. Not like I hate them like I used to, but they still scare me. I stare at it, hoping he just wants to book talk it, not actually read it. I'd like you to read this. I open my mouth to speak, my mind already rolling out multiple excuses. He puts his hand up. Listen, Allie, I know it won't be easy. I know it will take time. But the thing is, my excuses become harder to say. I think you can read this one, and I want you to try. I reach out to take the book, which has a picture of a kid holding a goldfish bowl. I flip through the pages. The book isn't long as far as chapter books go, so that's a relief. I look up at him, holding his gaze. Normally, I'd be giving him all kinds of reasons I can't do this. But the thing is, Mr. Daniels could hand me a book as heavy as a boulder, and I'd try to read it, just because he asked me to. Okay, we're going to begin a unit on persuasive writing, Mr. Daniels says, so I'd like you to tell me. If you could have an unlimited amount of any single object, what would it be? It cannot be magical, have special powers, or anything like that. Just ordinary, everyday type of object. Well, obviously, Shay speaks slow like she's talking to a little kid. Wouldn't everyone just choose money? Albert looks confused. Not something I see often. The first thing I thought about was antibiotics. Really? Mr. Daniels steps forward, putting his hands in his pockets. There are many who cannot afford medications, so I would like to give them out to people who need them, all over the world. Then he seems to be thinking out loud. I wonder if antibiotics would help or hurt alien life forms. Well, Shay sputters, if you had an unlimited amount of money, couldn't you just buy the medicine? I catch her rolling her eyes at Jessica. He shrugs. I'd rather just have the medicine. Scotch tape, Oliver yells. I want Scotch tape. Most of us laugh along with him. And why is that, Oliver? Mr. Daniels asks. Because it's awesome, that's why. People don't think about how tough life would be without Scotch tape. Mr. Daniels nods. You have a point there, Oliver. Or Elmer's glue. I love Elmer's glue. If I had a barrel of it stored up in the garage, I could cover my hands with it every day and then peel it off. I love doing that. And it grosses out my mom. I tell her it's skin. Shay makes a noise. What? Oliver asks her. That's ridiculous, she says. What's ridiculous? He asks. The opinions of others are to be respected, Mr. Daniel says. But Shay and Oliver continue to talk right over him. Wanting tape and glue, Shay says. No, it isn't, because I would also use them with paper to make little notes for my sisters. They make her feel better. Make her feel better? Mr. Daniels seems concerned. Is she ill? Oh, not anymore. But she had something that was called, it was long. It had 5 syllables, and she had to go to the hospital a lot to sleep over. And when she'd go, I'd visit her and bring her cards, and they made her feel happy. My mom says I was the one that helped her get better. I see. Well, Oliver, you get huge creativity points today. Mr. Daniels muses his hair. You're one of a kind. You know that, Oliver? Suki raises her hand. Grandfather says everyone is unique, special, unlike all others, and that makes us each great. I like that, Suki, Mr. Daniels says, and you are indeed great. She remains seated but bows a bit. Thank you, sir. Mr. Daniels bows back and then stands up straight. In fact, you're all great, my fantastic fantasticos. Albert raises his hand and Mr. Daniels nods towards him. Excuse me, but just because something is unique doesn't mean it's good. After all, E. coli, a dangerous bacteria, is unlike all others. Point taken, Albert, but I do like that people are all different. What if we all looked the same, thought the same, had the same beliefs? That sounds boring, Keisha says. Indeed it does, he replies. I think that I wouldn't mind being more like everyone else. But then, I think, I wouldn't want to draw like everyone else. And I wouldn't want to act like Shay or Jessica. All of a sudden, they're screaming. It's Oliver. Ant murderer! Ant murderer! He points at Shay. Ant murderer! You had no right to kill him. He was just walking by. You think it was a him? It's just a dumb ant. Who cares? I care, Oliver says, getting down on all fours with a tissue to check on the ant, which is clearly dead. He cleans it up with the tissue and puts it into his pocket. You're going to keep it? She sputters. Well, I'm not going to throw him out in the garbage. I'll bury him at home. She begins to laugh. Shay, Mr. Daniel says, there will be none of that. And she stops. We are all different. You care about some things and Oliver cares about others, and we have to work to accept each other, even though we may not agree. Yeah, Oliver says. Oliver? He waits. Oliver turns to Shay and mumbles, sorry, and then climbs back into his seat. Thank you, Oliver. Mr. Daniels wanders over to Oliver's desk. I'm glad you apologized. Now that you have, he leans over and rests his hands on his knees. I'd like to add that you have one of the kindest hearts I know. You care so much about everything, always looking out for others. And that, my fine young fellow, is going to make for a great man someday.